Hi everyone, it's Lauren. How are you? Hope you're doing well. I'm here today with the answers to the Q&A questions that you very kindly left a couple of weeks ago. This is really exciting. I haven't done a Q&A for ages, and like so much has changed in my life since then that there's quite a lot it appears to talk about. So thank you very much for sending all the questions through, and thank you as well for the really nice comments. It just feels so good to be back, and it's lovely to hear from so many of you as well. That was fantastic. So I have my nice big mug of coffee to keep me going, and I've got your questions here, so I'll just dive straight into them. The first thing I will say before we get going though is that there were quite a lot of questions about how I found labour and birth, which was interesting because I find that kind of birth story interesting, but I kind of didn't think anyone would care necessarily or be interested to hear about it, but quite a lot of people did ask, and some people worried if it was too personal. It's fine, I've got no problem talking about it. I'm very happy to talk about it. What I think I will do though is sort of do a whole video on that separately, because it was a lot. Like, if you really want to talk about it, there was a lot that happened throughout birth, and I in many ways I'm still processing it, and I find it quite therapeutic to talk about it, but I think that would probably do better on its own, separate from some of the other questions in this video. So if you ask that question, just keep a lookout. There'll be a video coming on that soon. So the first question here comes from Rebecca Johnson. I think this is a pretty good one to start with, which is just, how are you and Will doing? And I think we're doing okay. So she's nearly 6 months old now, and we're in the swing of it. I think it's just a lot. It's just a lot, and we knew it would be a lot before we had her. But nothing can prepare you for having a baby, in the way it kind of turns your life upside down. I think the thing we are both really feeling right now is just the relentlessness of it, of parenting, but kind of everything else in your life. So Will works quite a full day. It's not been unheard of for him to do like 12, 13, 14-hour days like in the past. He doesn't work quite that long now. But he has got a very kind of intense job. So he works a lot. At the moment, thankfully, he's still working from home a few days a week. Although there's already talk from his work that they want everybody to go back into the office 5 days a week soon, which is, anyway, something else. And that will be a lot more difficult when he's having to do the commute as well. But right now, he's doing like a really full day at work. I think he gets up at 5:30, does loads and loads of work, and then afterwards is like cooking the dinner and doing the washing up and everything else that obviously I don't have time to do during the day. I'm spending all day and all night looking after Edith. Like the amount of laundry we're going through is just ridiculous. Obviously we're having help. My mum comes around like several days a week, and like my friends come over now and again and help out. So like we still have support, and we're still just finding it like it never stops. It feels like you're just on a treadmill, and there's never ever a moment to relax. And I think even though she's a pretty placid baby, to be honest, like she doesn't enjoy napping at the moment, because the days are interesting, stuff's going on, she doesn't want to go for a nap. She does sleep fairly well at night, but naps are difficult unless you're literally pushing her around in a pram. So even when she's sleeping, there's no break for me. So we're both just feeling a bit like, wow, just a one day off would be quite nice, just one day off, but that just doesn't exist. And Rebecca's also asked, what's the most surprising emotion for both of you as new parents? And I can't speak on behalf of Will, but something, I don't know if this is an emotion, but something that struck me the most that I hadn't really thought about before having Edith was like how weirdly intimate the relationship is between parent and child, and probably quite specifically between mother and child. And I know that sounds daft, because obviously it's intimate, but it's just a level of closeness that you never get with another human being outside of a romantic relationship. And I just find that really incredible. It's like she genuinely is me. Like when I'm looking after her, like cleaning up her poo or whatever, like nothing about her disgusts me, because I don't find cleaning my own poo disgusting, because it's just my body, and I feel like she is me, like she's part of my body. And I don't know, like there's so much closeness. Like her mouth is like on my face all the time when I'm holding her, and she's just going bah! And like she's obviously breastfeeding, but just the amount of like fluids and touch and like I don't know, it's just really interesting, and obviously not a connection that I remember from when I was a baby myself. And it's a strange one to experience as an adult with another human being that like is not your partner, but in the most amazing way. It's weird, but in like an incredible way. And it's not something I think I could explain to someone like until you have a baby. I think that's probably the one thing that I was like couldn't kind of conceptualize like until I had her. On the subject of Edith, actually, there were lots of questions about what I'm reading to her at the moment, what kind of books I'm excited to read to her. So yeah, I weirdly, I know this will surprise you, I have not started really a library for her yet at all. We don't even have a bookcase yet, and that's because her room is sort of half done. There were questions about home renovation as well, so I will show you her room later in this video. But yeah, we just haven't kind of organised it in a way that we've got a bookcase. I think once I get a bookcase, I've decided on the one I want, I just don't know where it's going to go. Then I can start filling it up with some books for her. We've had some wonderful gifts from people, like some absolute classics, like The Tiger That Came to Tea. Jen got us all the Winnie the Poohs. We've got loads of Beatrix Potter books, which Will was reading to her when she was in my tummy. But we really haven't started like properly building up this little children's library yet, and that's something I'm really excited to do. The thing is, she's not that interested in books yet. I have been reading her the Winnie the Poohs. I went through a phase of doing those like as part of her bedtime routine, but she just goes for it. She doesn't understand the story obviously, but she just goes for the pictures, and I didn't want her to rip the covers, so we've stopped doing that. One book she does really like actually is this one. It's called Peekaboo. Baby Touch. I don't even know. I think it's just a Ladybird book. There's a picture of a Ladybird up there. And it's like a touch and feel book with different things. And I just think it's lovely. It's really nice colours. And you've got like, oh, an octopus is behind there. And this one's nice, a countryside with a little caterpillar and these bits of furry. And because it's like quite big for her, she really likes just like batting the pages and the pictures. And I think these are really nice like colour schemes. So this is probably my favourite one. I think she really likes the front cover. She seems to like this purple page. So that's what she's enjoying at the moment. But you know, she's really not in a place where she can follow any kind of stories or get anything out of it yet. So I'm excited for when she is interested in stories. She really likes books. She likes turning the pages, but I mean that doesn't really mean anything. I hope she is a bookworm. I hope she likes reading. I don't think we've got any indication of that just yet. I'm obviously excited to read with her the books that I remember from my childhood. My mum has given me a copy of the book that I used to have called Can't You Sleep, Little Bear? And that one's really sweet. And it's Little Bear is scared of the dark. So Big Bear keeps bringing him like bigger lanterns and bigger lanterns. And then it's like, oh, you've got the moon and the stars, so it's never dark. And then Little Bear goes to sleep. Really like that one. Dogger by Shirley Hughes. Oh, beautiful. Sort of further from picture book level, I can't even really imagine. But yeah, I'm hoping we're going to do all the classics. Very Hungry Caterpillar. Oh, I don't know where the wild things are. I'm just really looking forward to having a browse in the children's bookshop, and also actually read books that I'm too old for, like myself. Like I never read the Gruffalo and all of those ones. So I'm really excited to be able to learn. I want to learn about the Gruffalo, but you know, I'm interested to read new books that have come out since I was 2 or 3 years old. I think that'd be really fun as well to like explore them together. Rachel Matthews has asked, with less time to read now, how do you prioritise what you're going to read next? And I'm not sure. That's a difficult question. How do I prioritise? I think basically my reading ability is so narrow now that in a way it's easier because I don't have to think about all the books that I might want to read. It's just like, well, this one's in front of me, I guess I'll read that one and hopefully I'll enjoy it. I'm prioritising books for my Patreon book club and also for a book club that I'm part of with some people down my road. So that helps. That gives me a little bit of framework over the couple of months what I want to try and read. And yeah, aside from that, I think I'm just going to have to be very, what's the word? Vicious with the books that I do read. I have found that I have quite a low patience now. If I don't enjoy something, I'm a bit like, oh, well, I don't want to read it then. So I think there might be a case of a lot of begun books and a lot of trying some things out to see which sticks. Because I think it's less about prioritising kind of before you read them. Sometimes it's more about like, actually, I'm not enjoying this and I don't, you know, my time is precious and I want to enjoy it. So maybe just trying to focus on books that are going to be really fun, really fast-paced, readable, something that I get sucked into. I think that's probably what I need. So we'll see how it goes. Like, I haven't read that much since she's been born, but we're getting more in the swing of it now, as you can see, with finding time to film videos at least. Yeah, I'm hoping to read a little bit more now going forward. Lisa has asked, how did you find maternity leave? Was it strange to be gone from work for so long? I'm still not at work. It's all been weird. I've like forgotten that I have a job because I guess because of the pandemic anyway, we were working from home for such a long time, and then I went on maternity leave a few weeks before my due date, and then Edith was late, so I had about a month just like la la la, doing nothing before she was even born. And now we've had this whole whirlwind. Will did have 6 weeks off right at the beginning, which was great, so that was weirdly not as hard. I mean, it was extremely hard, but because both of us were in it together and we had so much help, and it was just like the newborn stage, and it was like, whoa, what's happening? That wasn't as difficult as almost it is now with Will back at work for such a long time of the day. It's really just all on me, and I cannot imagine how I'm gonna have a job again, honestly. Like, she takes up so much time. Oh my goodness. Obviously, soon I'll be able to leave her with people. I will have to, and get some childcare arranged and things like that. But yeah, I've like forgotten about work, and I'm feeling very ambivalent about it. Part of me really wants to go back to work because I'm just so excited to have a day like to myself, to think about things and have projects and talk to adults, and even like I'm quite excited for the commute, like because I can read my book on my commute into the office. Like, how exciting will that be? So I'm looking forward to that. But then also, like, of course, I am now going to be sad about leaving her, and I don't know, it's hard, isn't it? Like, if you're in the UK, you can share, you get about a year's parental leave, and you can share it between you. Will and I have been discussing about trying to share some leave. How that will happen, how many weeks he ends up having after I'm done, is just proving a bit of a nightmare, and like trying to arrange it with both of our jobs and how it can happen. It's irritating, so we'll see if we can get that sorted. But yeah, ultimately, whatever happens, I'll definitely have to be back at work by like March, April next year. I've lost all sense of a week, like a working week, as opposed to weekends. I'm just like, days are days, especially because my parents are retired, and then some of my friends like work from home or just work part-time. It's like I've forgotten that other people work 5 days a week. I'm just like, what? That sounds very like a lot to me. Marcella has asked about house renovation and house maintenance. Have your thoughts changed on that as a person who's moved from a flat to a bigger house, and do you think you're more likely to accumulate random stuff and get a messier environment? I really hope not. It's a difficult one because now we have a loft, and that is great. So we can just get rid of stuff we don't like up in the loft. But there's always a couple of things that have happened. Like in our flat, we had to be so economical with space, really clever about every kind of piece of furniture that we bought. And now we don't actually have to do that, and we do have more storage for things, but we also don't actually have the furniture yet to fill this house out. So although we do have space for stuff, the only place we can put the stuff is in the loft, because we don't have any more shelves or cupboards, or I don't know, we just haven't like organised it all yet, and loads of stuff still is unpacked, still in the loft, because we had a baby in between. Like, that's the real issue, I think. And the amount of stuff that she's going to accumulate, all these things that we bought that she's only going to use for a couple of months and then grow out of, and then it all has to go in the loft again. Kind of, there's just a never ending cycle now as she grows. But I don't know, I do feel like I don't like a lot of stuff. I like keeping things, but I like them to have a place. And Will hates clutter. Like, I have barely opened something and the packaging is already thrown away. Like, when we got our little crib, we used to have a little bedside crib next to me in the bed before we got the cot, and she obviously grew out of it, and Will had thrown away the box, like everything. I was like, well, what are we going to do with this now? So we had to like dismantle it and put it in the loft, like wrap it up in something else. So I do think, yeah, we might accumulate more things, but I think most of it, if it doesn't have a place in the house, it'll probably just be in the loft, because if Will can get his hands on it, squirrels everything away. But this is actually quite a good question, because a few people were asking about how house renovation is going. As you can see, our bedroom is finished. but it's very bare. There's not very much furniture in here yet. Edith's bedroom is next door, and again, the decoration of it is finished, but it doesn't have all of its furniture in there yet. I will give you a tour now. So this is the room I'm filming in now. This is our bedroom, and yeah, I think we did a lot of work. I did vlog it as we went, but because it's not like finished, I haven't like finished the vlog, but we've plastered all the walls, all the ceiling, got a nice light, and there's ceiling rose and what these called cornicing. Oh, there was just so much going on. But yeah, I think the room has come out really nicely. These are the original floorboards. We had them sanded and really happy with how they've come out. This is where the camera should be, but through the magic of television it's gone. So here's a nice bed with some washing on it. And this is where Edith's sleeping at the moment. This cot will obviously go next door eventually. And this corner is kind of the only bit that we've really done. We've got my wedding bouquet on the wall there, which looks beautiful in this alcove. I'm so pleased about that. And we've got a chest of drawers, desk, which I will eventually be able to have dressing table, like makeup and mirror and stuff on there, and these shelves that we used to have in our flat. And I'm sure you've noticed these wonderful blackout curtains which are up at the moment, and that's just because we are having shutters installed. Everything is delayed, of course. I'm sure you've heard on the news. Nothing is you can't buy anything. So we have shutters on order that they are not here yet, and we needed something in the windows so that we could sleep. So that's what it looks like at the moment. Not very pretty, but there you go. There are some things we know we're going to put on the wall and we just haven't yet for some reason. We had some prints in our bedroom in the flat, which we're going to put above the bed and on that wall there. But for some reason they're just in the loft. We haven't done that yet. We obviously don't have wardrobes in this room yet. The wardrobes are in another room because we're just using the wardrobes that the lady who used to live here left behind, and they're really big. So we need to buy some wardrobes to go in this room. But yeah, and next door is Edith's room, which basically looks the same because we did do them at the same time. I think we might have a bit of a shock on the camera as we come in here. Oh, it's very, very white. But yeah, it's just another kind of white box room. We have exactly the same floor situation. And yeah, at the moment we have her chest of drawers with some lovely toys that have been bought for her, her changing table, and a rug and a load of crap on the floor. So this is where the cot will go, I assume. But as you can see, we've just got a lot of things to sort out. We've got this nice lamp which Will bought for her, and it's actually quite big. I had dreams of perhaps having like the cot there and then a little rocking chair with a lamp, and you could read her a story or something before putting her to bed. But I'm not sure whether we want to do it in this corner or this corner. This camera is not wide angled enough for me to really show you the whole room. And then of course the changing table, which she's going to grow out of soon. I didn't realise that could happen, but I mean, obviously it can happen. I just hadn't really thought about it. Like, she's going to be too long to be on a table this high. So I don't know what we're going to do with all of her changing stuff. But yeah, we're going to have to get her a little wardrobe, and there's just a lot of things we need to work out on the organisation of the room. But it's looking really beautiful. Like, I can see how it will be there. We just haven't done it yet. And she does need to go in her own room soon, in a few weeks probably. So we better sort it out so that she's got somewhere to sleep. But yeah, it will be nice. I mean, you can just, all you can see is a white wall behind me, so you don't believe me. But yeah, it will be nice. Just a little bit more to do. The trouble is, we've done absolutely nothing in the rest of the house. Like, the bathroom is a toilet and then bath and sink next door, so we need to get all of that done, knocked through and modernised, and that's going to take ages. We're going to have to do that early next year. The living room I would really like to get done, because we just have this sofa, like the sofa we had in our flat, and that's it. And I feel a little bit embarrassed. Like, I feel like I can't invite people over to our house. We don't have enough chairs. We don't have anything that's designed for more than 2 people. So it's quite difficult to host people in our house at the moment. And if the living room was done, I think I'd feel really so much better, because we'd be able to have like space. And yeah, what's happened is we've got furniture for a flat in there, and then all of Edith's stuff everywhere. So I'd really like that to be done. It's just so difficult now. Like, when I was talking about how we just don't have time for things, like, this is it. Like, we just have such little time to spend thinking about what colour bathroom tiles do we want, and I find that very frustrating. I hate living in an undone house. because our flat was all done and it was lovely and it was finished and we loved it. It was all pretty, and now we're going to have to do it all again on a grander scale with a baby in tow. It'd be lovely when it's done. It'd be so nice when it's done. But yeah, I don't really have too much of an update other than just these rooms, to be honest. Bree Hill has asked a really interesting one, which is, what's one thing you've learned about yourself from your motherhood journey so far? And something that I've learned about myself, which isn't really about motherhood, but it's something I didn't really know about myself, is that I apparently actually put a lot of stock in my appearance, and that is really tied to how I define myself. So I never really thought I was hugely into like makeup or fashion. I don't ever feel like I'm very good at it, to be honest. I like it, but I never feel like, oh yeah, I love fashion, I'm always on the latest trends or anything like that. But not being able to kind of dress myself in the way that I would want. So like just after I had her, my body was changing quite a lot. Obviously my bump was going down, but it took a really long time to go down. And I felt like I didn't fit into my maternity clothes anymore, but also I didn't fit into my old clothes, and I didn't want to buy kind of middling clothes because my body was still changing. That I found quite difficult. With all the breastfeeding, I've obviously had to wear like loose tops that I can lift up and feed her underneath. I did try and get some nursing clothes, but all nursing clothes, oh my goodness, are like 100% disgusting. It's so hard to find nursing clothes that are nice, that are not just like sacks with a zip across them. Honestly, it just made me feel like complete shit. And just not having clothes that I like and I feel like display my personality, like made me really feel like, who am I? And I really struggle with it. And like not being able to get my hair cut even, like, I mean, this isn't great right now, but before I could kind of get it cut, I felt really awful, not having time just to put makeup on in the morning, to put some earrings on, some jewelry or something, and not feeling put together. Like I really felt like I lost myself a little bit. And that's not something I really expected to happen, but I guess that's what we all do, and we all take for granted how we kind of present ourselves to the world. Like that's part of who you are or who you identify with. And yeah, I really struggled losing that, and I also struggled not being able to do the things that I do, like doing this, for example. I think that's how I don't know, just because that's how I perceive myself. I have facets of my personality and facets of like my life, my daily routine or whatever, where I kind of do hobbies and I like read books and make videos, and you know, I used to go to ballet or go to the gym or something like that, and I really struggle not being able to do those things. So yeah, I didn't realise I was so defined by external things, but apparently I am. A few people asked if my reading taste or like my approach to reading has changed since becoming a mum, and I don't think it has. Like not in terms of taste. I think I still want to read the same things. I think it does. Perhaps it changes your reaction to characters a little bit more, but I don't. See, I struggle with this because I feel like all of us are empathetic and can imagine what it's like to be in a certain situation. And before I was a parent, I could understand if a character in a story had a child or something, I would identify with that. And I think it's a little bit, I know this isn't the question anybody asked, but it's the question I'm answering, which is where people sort of go, oh, once you're a parent, then you really understand, or like, you know, that's when you really, I don't know, feel emotions with other people. That was an amazing sentence. But I don't really think that's true. I think we kind of understand the nature of love and family, like even if it's different for a character in a story to our own, even if it's not something we've personally experienced, I think you can identify that and understand it from someone else, because we all have imagination and empathy, and you know, you can still be touched by something in a book. So I don't know, I feel a little bit of trepidation saying, oh, I see more in books now, maybe. I guess the only thing I did find quite upsetting was something in where the crawdads sing, where a mother left her children. And I was like, oh no, how could you do that? But I think I saw that more as a child being left, which is, you know, an experience. I've been a child. I had that experience before I had Edith. So I don't think it's changed how I react to books or like what my taste is. I don't think so. It's really hard to know. Although having said that, I do feel having experienced pregnancy, maybe that is something that I've now gone through, and like if I read any book which I feel like is about pregnancy or is a bit of an allegory of pregnancy and that kind of connection that you could have with an unborn child and just what it feels like in your body, like I know what that feels like now. So I suppose there's that aspect that perhaps could hit home a little bit more. But I think that's probably the case with any media as well. It's not like just reading, it's kind of any story or anything in life. Like once you go through an experience, it kind of changes your perspective. But as a rule, I think I will be reading the same things. And on that note, quite a few people also asked me what I'm most excited to read next. And I'm most excited to read the new Sally Rooney, Beautiful World, Where Are You? I bought it the other day. I was so excited. I went in a bookshop. Will and I and Edith, the whole family, went to Suffolk for a weekend away. And I went in a bookshop and I was like, oh, it's my first time in a bookshop in ages. And I bought it. I have not heard anything about it. I've seen it everywhere, of course, but I don't know anything about the plot. And, you know, I really enjoyed conversations with friends and normal people. So I'm really pleased I'm going into it without really understanding anything about it, because I feel like the hype is just publishing hype. I don't necessarily think I've seen a lot of hype from people who've read it going, it's amazing. I think it's just the kind of marketing. That's what it seems to me so far anyway. So I'm looking forward to reading that. It's the pick for the book club that I run on Patreon as well. So I have yet another reason to read it. So that is my most excited for, most anticipated read over the next couple of months. And aside from that, I just don't know, because I just don't, I'm going to have to be really selective about buying new books really, because I just won't have time to read them. So I'm going to try and not go in bookshops really, because what I used to do, of course, was go in bookshops and be like, yay, and buy 30 books or something and then read them over the course of years. But I have so many unread books anyway in my house, and I'm going to have to just not go to bookshops and try and not buy too many new ones. I think I'm going to have to be very, very, very controlled. I feel like I rambled for a really long time and we didn't even get to pregnancy and birth. Good job, I'm going to do that separately. I hope this was interesting. Who knows, right? I mean, I'm just talking to a camera. Like, who knows if anyone finds this interesting? But yeah, it was great to have the questions. But I'm back in business now, so there will be more chances for chat and updates and reading, reviewing, and all the rest of it. So yes, I will see you next week in my next video, and I hope you all do well in the meantime. Bye.